If you use an iPhone and you listen to music on it, well, I've got something I think you should do right now. Hey folks, I'm Mark Ryan. This is Super Review. And what I want to do is just kind of show you how to take the action button and use it to replace one of the main functionalities, one of the main benefits of an old cassette player like this. Now, I think old things like this are kind of coming back in vogue, partly because there's a charm and a nostalgia to old analog stuff, but also just because it's got physical, tactile, active buttons on it. And it's kind of nice to be able to operate your music without having to turn on the screen of your phone and click play and pause. Now, there are modern equivalents, digital audio players like this, but you have to buy something that's a separate device. And if you don't want to do that, if you want to just stick to listening to music on your iPhone, well, fortunately, the action button can actually do that. And well, if you like the idea of helpful content like this, shout out to HiFiGo for making waveguide videos like this one possible. We'll talk a little bit more about them later, but for now, I just want to go to the table and show you how to set this up. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to remap the action button on the iPhone. Now, the action button was introduced on the iPhone, I believe the 15. So if you have an iPhone 15, 16 or a 17, you should have an action button and you should be able to follow along. Now, by default, this action button just does what, the function of the switch that it replaced, which is it goes in between silent mode and ringer mode. And now I never put my phone into ringer mode. I always leave it in silent mode, so I don't need a button that can go back and forth between it. If you do, we're going to cover that actually in a little bit. But for now, I want to talk about how we can just hijack this button to do what we want to do. And just to start with, what we need to do is we need to launch the Shortcuts app on the iPhone. If you don't already have it launched, you can pull down, you can search for Shortcuts and hop into the Shortcuts app itself. By default, you're going to see this screen. Toggle over here into the library screen, which is on the lower left, and we're going to hit plus to create a new shortcut. Once you have this up in the search box, just search for the word play, and we're going to look for this option. This is play pause, right? This is basically the action that we want to trigger whenever we tap the action button. And that's basically all that we need to do to create this action, right? There's nothing more we need to do in the Shortcuts app, so go ahead and close that out. So now jump into the Settings app on your iPhone and scroll down until you find the action button setting, which is right here. When you click into that, it's going to launch this kind of excessively large UI, to be honest. And again, by default, it's going to be the silent mode. That's what this button is mapped to. But if you scroll over here to the right, we can actually map it to a shortcut. That's what we want. So once you have this option selected, hit the blue button to select your shortcut, and it's going to show you a list of shortcuts that you have on your phone, which is going to include the one that we just created, which is play pause. So I'll tap that. Now you can see that the shortcut is mapped to the play pause function. So if I close that, let's say I go into here, I start listening to some music, and I'll silence this so I don't trigger the copyright police, but you can see that it's playing right now because it's got the pause button. Now if I press and hold this button up here, now it's paused, and now it's playing. And I don't even have to be in the app in order to trigger this. You can see it being triggered up here. Now I'm playing. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of this. The phone doesn't even need to be turned on. You can be in a lock state like this. And again, you can see the music is currently playing. I can press the action button, and now it pauses the music. And I can press it again and it resumes playing. And now that might seem like kind of a minor point, but it is honestly like one of the main reasons that I personally use digital audio players like this is I want a physical button that I don't have to unlock my phone, scroll to the right app and find the touchscreen button. I just want a physical button that is always there to trigger, pause, and play. And that is exactly what we have done now with the action button. Now, like I mentioned, you might have wanted to retain access to the ability to go between silent mode and ringer mode. And well, we've just hijacked that button, so you now have kind of lost that functionality. But I wanted to show you how you can kind of get it back, all right? And basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a function to the control center, right? So you can swipe down from the top right to reveal the control center, just kind of press and hold anywhere in an empty space, and we can add a control. In the search section, just search for the word silent, and you can now see that there is an option for silent mode. We basically added a new silent mode button to this control center. In fact, you can stretch and make it much larger if you want. And now, instead of having a switch or a button dedicated to going into silent mode, you can just scroll that down, tap into silent mode, and now you're in silent mode, or toggle back out of silent mode. So you can still access that functionality, but now have a dedicated button that is, I think, mapped to a much more useful function. So that's what I think you should do. If you use an iPhone and listen to music, I think you should dedicate this button to play pause functionalities. It's just going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to make it easier to enjoy music, and well, that's kind of what we're in this for. Again, shout out to HiFiGo for making waveguide videos like this one possible. HiFiGo is an online retailer. They've got all kinds of audiophile stuff. They've got headphones, earphones, digital audio players, which, okay, yes, you could still get a digital audio player, although now you don't have to. But they've got all kinds of stuff. If you want to check them out, of course, I've got them linked in the description down below. But while you're down there, if you haven't yet, well, like this video, subscribe to the channel, ding the YouTube bell, join me on Discord, and I'll catch you on the next super review. Cheers.
Joined with the force of reviews, we now have the tools to brave the misleading world of audio fools. Hey, this review is super, and so are you. Grab your headphones, sniff a graph, and share your thoughts in this pursuit. Let's get into the future.